What if the moon wasn't always there? What if Earth's history was shaken not just by comets and climate shifts, but by the sudden arrival of a celestial companion? Scientists speak of the Younger Dryas, a sudden ice age that struck 12,800 years ago, wiping out species and forcing humanity to start over. But some researchers and storytellers suggest something far stranger, that the moon itself might be part of this mystery. In mainstream science, the Younger Dryas is one of the most dramatic climate events in human history. Around 12,800 years ago, global temperatures suddenly plunged. North America, just thawing from the Ice Age, was thrown back into near-glacial conditions. Paleoclimatologists have studied layers of ice cores from Greenland that show this abrupt cooling. According to researchers like Richard Firestone and Alan West, something catastrophic happened. Either a massive flood of glacial meltwater disrupting ocean currents or a cosmic impact. In their book, The Cycle of Cosmic Catastrophes, Firestone and his colleagues argue that fragments of a disintegrating comet may have struck North America, causing wildfires, flooding, and darkness. Archaeological evidence at sites like Abu Huraira in Syria and the Clovis culture in America suggest widespread destruction. This is the root of the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a theory still debated but increasingly supported by discoveries of nanodiamonds, platinum, and shocked quartz, all signs of a cosmic event. But what about the moon? To understand the mystery, we need to step back. Our moon is unlike any other in the solar system. Relative to Earth, it's far too large. Its orbit is too perfect. Its density is strange, hollow compared to Earth's. Scientists propose the giant impact hypothesis, that 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized planet named Theia collided with Earth, and debris coalesced into the moon. Yet not all researchers are satisfied. Authors like Christopher Knight and Alan Butler in Who Built the Moon point out bizarre coincidences. The moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun and 400 times closer, which makes perfect eclipses possible. It's almost as if it was placed there. Even NASA has admitted puzzling findings. During the Apollo missions, when seismometers were left on the moon and crash modules impacted the surface, the moon rang like a bell for hours. This led to speculation that the moon might have vast hollow regions. So how do we connect this to the Younger Dryas? Some speculative theories suggest that the moon we see today did not always orbit Earth, that perhaps in ancient times, Earth had a different rotation, a different tilt, even no moon at all. The Younger Dryas, then, could have been triggered not only by a comet, but by a gravitational disruption. If a large object, say a proto-moon or captured body, entered Earth's orbit, the sudden tidal changes would wreak havoc. Earthquakes, rising seas, massive climate disruption. This aligns curiously with myths and legends. Ancient texts from Mesopotamia speak of gods descending from the heavens, the Anunnaki, bringing knowledge after a great flood. Plato wrote of Atlantis, a civilization lost to the sea. In Mesoamerican myths, the moon appears suddenly, lit by the gods. Could all these stories preserve cultural memories of a real cosmic upheaval? Archaeology also paints a strange picture. Sites like Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, dated to around 11,600 years ago, emerged just after the Younger Dryas. These massive stone enclosures, carved with animals and celestial symbols, appear suddenly, with no gradual development. It's almost as if humanity was rebooted, a global reset followed by a sudden leap in culture, agriculture, and architecture. Graham Hancock in Magicians of the Gods argues that survivors of a lost civilization passed down knowledge to kickstart the Neolithic Revolution. The moon looming larger in the night sky could have become a symbol of renewal, or perhaps a reminder of the catastrophe that forced humans to begin again. Let's step even further into speculation. If the moon is not a natural satellite, could it be artificial? Soviet scientists Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov once suggested the spaceship moon hypothesis in 1970. They argued that the moon could be a hollowed-out planetoid placed in orbit by unknown beings. Far-fetched? Perhaps, but it explains the anomalies. The perfect orbit, the strange density, the way it stabilizes Earth's tilt and creates tides, conditions that make complex life possible. Without the moon, Earth's climate might be wildly unstable. Civilization might never have arisen. Was the moon a cosmic accident or an intentional act? Of course, mainstream science doesn't support these wilder theories. Most researchers are confident the moon formed naturally billions of years ago and that the Younger Dryas was caused by a comet impact or ocean disruption. But here's the fascinating part. The gaps in our knowledge leave room for imagination. We don't know for certain how the moon formed. We don't know exactly what triggered the Younger Dryas, and we don't fully understand why civilizations worldwide tell similar stories of floods, gods, and resets. Scientists have measured that the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth at about 3.8 centimeters every year. That may not sound like much, but over long time scales it adds up. Since the Younger Dryas, 12,800 years ago, the moon has moved less than half a kilometer farther away, essentially unchanged in human terms. But imagine a million years from now. At the same steady pace, the moon will be almost 40 kilometers farther. After 100 million years, nearly 4,000 kilometers. And after about 400 million years, the moon will be so far away that it will never again completely cover the sun during an eclipse. Our perfect total solar eclipses will disappear forever. The effect on Earth would be subtle at first, but important. Tides are controlled by the moon's gravity, and the strength of those tides depends on how close the moon is. If the moon were just 10% closer than it is today, the tides would be almost 40% stronger, 10% farther away, and they would be dramatically weaker. This gentle drift shows us something profound. Even the moon's perfect position for eclipses, tides, and life on Earth is temporary, a fleeting moment in cosmic time. So what are we left with? We know that 12,800 years ago, something changed the course of history. The Earth froze, species died, and humanity restarted. We know the moon is a bizarre outlier among satellites, with too many coincidences to ignore. And while the scientific explanations point one way, the myths, legends, and anomalies point another. The question is not just whether the moon should be there, but whether humanity itself is here because of it. Perhaps when we look up at the moon, we aren't just seeing a rock in space, we're seeing a silent witness, maybe even the architect of our story. Thank you for listening.